Let me read to you a passage from the 9th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 35 to chapter 10, verses 1 and then 6 to 8. It's the Gospel for Saturday of the first week of Advent. St. Matthew writes, Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." He called his 12 disciples to him, and gave them authority to drive out evil spirits, and to heal every disease and sickness. These 12 Jesus sent out, with the following instructions: "Go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach this message: the kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely give." That's from Matthew chapter 9, verses 35 to chapter 10, verse 1, and verses 5 and verses 6 to 8. What does it suggest to us? Well, I know one British university professor of studies in religion who insists that, and with considerable erudition, that Buddhism does not allow for a loving creator. He himself is a convert to Catholicism from Buddhism. Buddhism, of course, is a response to the problem of evil and suffering. That is not to say that what we might call the very agnosticism of Buddhism is founded on the problem of evil and suffering, but Buddhism certainly reminds us of that problem. Buddhism constitutes a flight away from a bad world that is the source of evil and suffering for man. This flight is not a path towards a positive union with God, but a path towards a state of detachment or indifference to the things of this life. The Christian system does not allow that detachment in itself is the purpose of life. Of itself, this will not bring the happiness for which the heart of man yearns. Rather, detachment is a step towards attachment to God and his holy will. That having been said, Buddhism reminds us of a few great facts, and one is that the evil and suffering experienced by man has ever been a problem for positive theism. There is so much evil and suffering. Is there, then, a God? And if there is a God, where is he? And what is he about? Many religious people become irritated with God's apparent inactivity in the face of evil. Some persons come to think he is just a pie in the sky, a phantom. Some just cease thinking about him and deal with life on their own. Many give up on him. Some become militantly opposed to him in an aggressive atheism. The Prime Minister of Australia, Kevin Rudd, was once asked why he believed in God, and he replied that it was the design that he saw everywhere in the world that convinced him. Many, though, reply that the world is in fact poorly designed and not worthy of an infinitely powerful and intelligent creator. What is to be thought of a design that includes earthquakes, tsunamis, vast bushfires, floods, disease, war, and general mayhem? Not very far from all these attitudes and responses is the intractable problem of evil. If only man could be happy, but he is not, so it is stated. Despite the British professor, it will be said that there cannot be a loving creator if we mean by this one who is all-powerful and utterly holy. This is not the moment to deal with a philosophical problem that has exercised the minds of ages of thoughtful men. One thing we can say, though, is that the most religious and intelligent of men while profoundly in communion with God at the same time, have no doubt about the scale of evil in the world. The problem of evil does not in the slightest way cause in them doubts as to the existence of God, even though it leaves them unable to comprehend. The one figure in history who is a beacon of light before the problem of evil in the world, is Jesus Christ. God was his Father. Let the atheist and agnostic observer of an evil world look on Jesus Christ. Which brings us to our gospel passage that I read earlier. What has God done in the face of evil? He has sent his dearly beloved Son, his only begotten, to become one of us and to face the tide of evil himself. He has also revealed that the evil in the world is at root our responsibility. Man sinned. And so serious was this, to sin that is, that it set all life askew and in rebellion. Suffering descended upon man, and his sin continued unabated. The origin of evil in the world is sin. In our gospel passage, it is this suffering and human disorder that our Lord perceives in the sweep of his sovereign glance. As we heard, Jesus went through all the towns and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. God was not absent from human suffering. And long before, he spoke to Moses in the burning bush. I have seen the suffering of my people, he told Moses, and I know well what they are suffering. I have come down to rescue them. If that was what God said to Moses, now we see God in action, in veritable earnest. He has come to save his people from their sins, and this time he will take these sins on himself, and by himself undergoing unimaginable suffering will expiate for them. He will then send out his disciples to bring the benefit of this to all the nations. And here in our gospel passage today that I read earlier, we have the beginnings of this. As you go, preach this message, he said. The kingdom of heaven is near. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, drive out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. It was a harbinger of what was to come. Our Lord has shown that because of the use man has made of his own free will, there is no easy answer to the problem of evil. But we do know this: the ultimate way out is through union in love with Jesus Christ. He has shown that if we suffer with him, we shall reign with him.